When it comes to dead family members, you always hear about what someone wishes they could have said or what they wish they could have done with that person before they died. But when you're young and someone dies, it feels like you've never even met them. That's how I feel about my dad. The mullet and short shorts you're currently looking at. My dad committed suicide when I was only about 3 years old. As I get older, I get ready to set out into the world. I feel like it's even more necessary to understand him more. So that's what I'm going to try and do here by sticking a camera in front of my family members' faces and using their memories to understand more about them.
Covered the mural up. Couldn't get it off. Are you taking a picture of me?
No. What year? When was my dad born?
1968. He was a good baby, very smiley. To pass the time, he loved trapping. When he got a little older, he had a friend that would trap. He loved the outdoors. It was that, it was fishing, and when he got to be like 16, then it was hunting. He loved to hunt.
We used to go down, there's a school called Maria Regina, and we had bow and arrows. And we used to walk down there with our bow and arrows all by ourselves. And they had targets all set up, and we used to go shoot our bow and arrows and stuff. It was cool.
How was he in school? Like, how did he perform? And what the teachers?
Well, he was a very smart boy, but he loved to play hooky, to go fishing with his friends. And then he finally, the school had said they thought it would be best that he left school. So he was 16, he dropped out of school, and a week later he started GED classes, and he did get his diploma.
He was great around the kids. He was great around the kids. Even my Nicole, she was so young, and he was a jokester. Like, he would always play around with her, tease her. Uncle Peter always mentions, he tells Victoria and Kayla all the time, because they were young too. Uncle Michael would just be busting your chops left and right if he was here, because that's what he was, a ball buster.
He had gotten me this little fishing game. It was just a cheesy, like, little screen on it, and you had the handle on it, and you'd just be able to cast this thing out, and you'd look at the screen, and I remember we must have spent hours just playing that game, and he loved it just as much as I did. I think that's why he got it for me.
Well, he was good with you. He liked you. He liked you.
Watch out with you.
But he was good with you.
How? What did he want? When he was spending time with me, what did we do?
I don't know.
Listening to all these memories and recollections made me think about a few things. Firstly, that my dad and I are almost polar opposites. This great outdoorsman that loved to trap and go hunting helped conceive me. The guy that spends hours inside walking through the forests of Azeroth. But really, it just made me question his death that much more. And as I looked through my grandmother's old photo albums, there was something I noticed that made me start to piece some things together.
His father and I split up, and Michael was not quite 14 when we split up. And the only thing that I know, his father was letting him drink at 14. And of course I was against it, but I wasn't living there with them at the time.
Even when he drank, there was times he drank and he was fine. But every, 6 months he would go crazy, and have, a really erratic night.
Did you ever see any of these, weird out-of-whack moments?
Yeah.
Could you give me an example of one?
Okay, well, we were at the camp. There was maybe too many of us. We were all having a good time. One person just rubbed him the wrong way. And, of course, he grabs his gun, and he's marching through the woods.
Sometimes we would argue, and, he would really blow up, really bad.
He just drank too much. Some people drink and they pass out. He drank and got more energy. One time he jumped out of the car, he threw the keys, and hopped the fence and cut himself on the highway.
Every family has alcoholism in their family somewhere along the line.
It goes without saying I know that my father wasn't a bad person. He had a problem, albeit a problem he didn't want to fix. Heavy alcohol use is connected to depression, so really it's not all that surprising that his life ended the way it did. But as I looked more into it, there's something else that I started to worry about.
Nicola, Francie, and Ginny, daughter, mother, and grandmother. One family, 3 generations of alcoholism.
I can remember times I was so impatient and lose my temper and like, what?
It wasn't her normal self.
I threw her down on the floor, for God's sake.
Most researchers agree that your genes determine more than half of your vulnerability to addiction.
If you have the gene, I'm not sure that you can moderate very easily.
Do you ever worry?
About Tyler drinking, oh, kill Tyler.
No, really. Do you worry?
No! Because if you start drinking and have a problem, I would come down so hard on you, you would see stars.
Is it scary to think that, as with somebody who could potentially become addicted to something, that just as simple as trying something or doing something, yeah, that's scary. It's definitely scary to think about. But I know at my age that I can't do anything like that.
I think at this point in my life, I feel the same as my brother does, but it's still troubling that I'm almost set up with this predetermined trait. But all that means is that it's up to me to take care of it, to understand how addiction works and how to make sure that this behavior doesn't continue. For nearly all my life, I've been fixated on the night my father died, and why? It's really the only thing about him I felt I could hold on to. But by understanding addiction and ensuring that I don't continue the cycle that eventually killed him, I think I can get to know and understand him a whole lot better.